Welcome to r/Tales from the Pizza Guy, where the people who deliver your food tell everybody how terrible you are. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, or I'm going to put pineapple on your pizza. My woes from the prep table. Hi, it's the guy who delivered to a guy who sanitized his pizza with Lysol. I'm just venting about the frustration that I'm having on the prep. It started with a change of schedule. I usually finished prep on the start of my shift at 4 or 5. But then they changed it so that I don't work on prep till 7, as it was an actual standard we weren't following. Oops. Either way, I wasn't upset about that until I realized that I only had 2 hours to practically finish what is already a fairly big list that should take half an hour. But you also have to consider that 7 p.m. is usually the busiest part of the night, and we frequently have 28-minute deliveries that were like 4 miles from our store. I still managed but was annoyed. One fateful day our manager decided that the medium hand toss needed to be on the list by its total to make, not grouped. For those who don't understand, for the entire time I have worked at this job, our store grouped product in 5s, with the exception of large hand toss in 7s. Only certain stuff would get totals like stuffed or calzones, but it worked for me and never questioned it, until one day I saw that medium hand toss was asking for 15 stacks. Mind you, I honest to God thought it was 15 stacks, not 15 in total. So when they see why too much MHT in the cooler, they just have to put it back in the freezer and whatnot. But I remember walking in the prep room and the first thing anyone says. It was a new hire who said this: "You're an idiot." I'm now angry because I'm being called an idiot for practically doing what I have been since I started working here. Cause I have done 15 plus stacks from both large and medium before pre-pandemic, and it seemed plausible that we needed that much as we were about to open the buffet again until the next wave came in. And delayed us to August. About a week passes to today, and I just got practically shunned for making 15 fucking medium hand toss. It's not that we had to make 15 stacks, but that we already had 3 unlabeled stacks with no indication of when it was even made. Also, there weren't supposed to be any calzones. But whoever wrote on the board not only put calzones up, but made the 0 look like a 6. Still my fault somehow. Pretty much I just was told that I was being wasteful of their product and that our manager will deal with the hand toss themselves, cause I obviously can't. I'm done ranting, but I was just pissed cause I felt like I'm being treated like a dumb fuck who can't follow basic orders. No matter how hard I work, one mess up and blammo, you get written up for shit we can't even confirm you did. That's for another story. On top of that, I work 6 to 7 hour shifts with no break, and I'm expected to do so much with little to no help while half vomiting, half cleaning from the half-eaten Alfredo pizzas on plates to the wee hours of the night on an empty stomach just so I can pay for college. People who request a contactless delivery and leave no tip. There's a special place in hell for you. The man who disinfected his pizza. I work at a pizza place that has the most recognized roofs in existence. At the time this happened, it was mid-pandemic, and they were starting to give us alternatives for the contactless delivery by giving us a stand to put the pizza on top of it. The delivery was about 3 miles from the store, and he ordered a 3-topping large hand toss with pepperoni, beef, and sausage with a 2-liter of Pepsi. They were already outside. All I had to do was put the pizza and Pepsi on the floor and let them pick it up so I can be on my way. However, the guy walked up to me with a bottle of sanitizer. I had gloves on, and made me put the sanitizer on before I could do my job. I forgot the Pepsi in my car, so I go put the pizza down on the stand and walk back to get it. As I am walking back, the guy then takes out a can of Lysol and opens the pizza box and sprays it on the fucking pizza. Thank God they didn't open the Pepsi and sprayed that too. It was a quiet drive back to my store to contemplate what just happened. Bird hat. For my first post in this sub as a second summer pizza gal, I'll tell you a short and sweet story. Today on my first or second delivery, I went to a small house in town and the woman came to open the door. She sort of sheepishly stood inside, as most people do these days, if they don't opt for contactless delivery. At first I thought it was because of the virus, but then I noticed she had a parakeet on her head. Completely comfortably and nonchalantly, I asked, "Whoa, is there a bird on your head?" And she was like, "Yeah, the last guy that came, he jumped onto his head, so I'm staying inside like this." I just thought it was pretty funny how I immediately assumed it was the virus, but it was actually the presence of a flying creature on this woman's head. Her toddler son was also super cute and excited. car got stolen while I was on a delivery. They didn't steal my dash cam. Story time. DL, Dr. Below. My car was stolen in February while I was on a delivery. I, like many delivery drivers from time to time, leave my car running especially when it is busy. This was during a snowstorm, by the way. The order was cash, and it was an apartment complex with no apartment number. I left my phone in my car and I just started knocking on random doors hoping for the customer since there were only 4 apartments. The apartment complex only had 2 tenants after talking to one of them. None of the tenants ordered pizza. Frustrated, I returned to my car to grab my phone to call the customer. I called the customer and they answered and said they were in the hallway on the apartment. I finally met up with the customer in the hallway in the apartment and it turned to be 3 young teenagers, 14 or 15 years old. They told me they didn't have the cash but they were going to grab it. After about 5 minutes, they never turned up, and I thought to myself that the teenagers don't have money for pizza and they were hoping for free pizza. Turned out they got in my car, which has a dash cam by the way, and they joyrided it and they were unable to actually drive my car because it was snowing. The dumb idiots used their personal phone and the police were able to trace them and they got arrested after bailing from my vehicle. I looked at the dash cam footage and it turned out these juveniles had a ringleader referring them as boss who was behind the scenes. He was telling them what to do. Lesson learned is to not leave your car running at apartments or bad neighborhoods. I still do if it's a house and in a good neighborhood. I decided to quit my delivery job since I was prosecuting them due to safety reasons. TL Doctor, teenagers stole my car and crashed it. They got caught. I got granted restitution. I looked at the dash cam footage and it was hilarious. I'm about to quit my job and I really don't want to. I just purchased a house recently because I've had set hours as a closing driver. The same week that I closed on my house, my GM took away my closing shifts because I don't sweep or mop consistently. I spent the next 2 weeks taking nearly an extra hour each night to sweep and mop perfectly. I left the store as clean as physically possible. I got my hours back for 1 week and then last night I was out taking deliveries until an hour and a half after close. I came back to start my sweep, vacuum, and mop but my manager's ride, who also works at a different Papa John's, came in and started mopping before I got back. I finished mopping because it was impossible to sweep the floors while they were wet, and woke up to my GM who sent me pictures of underneath everything in the store and told me I can't close his back unless I show consistency. I have literally slaved over the store and have not gotten out until well past my out times. I've been down on my hands and knees sweeping the hell out of our store. I even asked the managers in charge to look over my work and make damn sure it's acceptable before I turn out the lights. At this point, I cannot do a better job, it's impossible. None of the other closers do even half as good of a job and even the managers hate the fact that we have to stay later in order to do extra cleaning. I have worked at this store for 5 years and had set closing hours, yet as soon as I depend on those hours I get them cut and cannot physically do anything to get them back because it's impossible to clean any better. I don't even think corporate can fix this mess. I feel like the GM just dislikes me and treats me unfairly compared to our other drivers. I've even asked managers and they explain she makes an example out of you, so in that scenario I tried my best to do everything perfect and tried extra hard to be a better worker. After all of this, my hours are gone once again and I cannot think of anything I could do better. Got to yell back at a customer on the phone and it felt amazing. Former driver, now manager, worker at several places over the last few years. Just started at a new store that's frankly just more shittily run with more awful customers than I've ever encountered before. Daily calls where customers lie about not getting their order or it being messed up, demanding a refund. Guy calls and immediately starts screaming that there's some motherfucking cockroach in my goddamn pizza, you motherfuckers are giving me a refund. I was totally bewildered but something emerged from deep within me and responded with no there wasn't, not possible. Several back and forths of him describing the massive cockroach on top of his pizza and I also keep raising my voice saying how we stretch our dough and put on every topping and there's no way one could get in unnoticed. Finally I just hung up in the middle of his sentence. He didn't call back so it was obviously bullshit. We don't even have ants. Best part was all the insiders smiling and saying how nice it was to finally see a manager not handing out tons of refunds every night. That was r/Tales from the Pizza Guy. Again, don't forget to subscribe. I'm serious about the pineapple.